Perhaps you've heard the expression, it is my way or the highway. It is important to take note here that conflict is neither inherently good or bad, but rather what we do with conflict is what matters. And those are the conflict styles. First, I would like to say that conflict styles can be distinguished by two dimensions, cooperation and directness. Cooperative conflict includes taking both partners' goals into consideration, whereas uncooperative conflict only focuses on one person trying to win the argument. Direct conflict involves engaging directly in conflict and talking about issues, while indirect conflict involves avoiding discussion of conflict altogether. Today I will discuss the 6 different conflict styles: competitive fighting, yielding, indirect fighting, avoiding, compromising, and collaborating. I will provide some key information about each, and then I will give examples of situations in which these could be seen, hypothetical situations. First off, competitive fighting is basically like throwing verbal punches. It is direct and uncooperative. People try to assert their dominance and attempt to achieve a win-lose situation wherein they win and their partner loses. Tactics here include personal criticisms, accusations, threats, name-calling, and so on. It sometimes leads to a lose-lose situation if people continuously go back and forth with threats or accusations or criticisms, and you name it. And furthermore, it is typically ineffective and inappropriate, as most of the time goals are not met. However, there are some exceptions, such as when power differentials exist. For example, between a father and daughter. A father wants to prevent his daughter from going on a date. He might threaten to take it away some of her privileges, such as her car keys, phone usage, etc., in order to get her to not go on the date. On the other side of the spectrum, we have yielding. Yielding is indirect and cooperative. In this, people forego their own goals and desires in consideration of what the partner wants. Tactics are included here are putting aside one's own needs to please the partner and passively accepting the partner's decisions. Take the father and daughter back into play. The daughter may yield to her father's authority for several reasons. 2 could be as a way of pleasing him, or maybe she even fears the consequences of disobeying him. It may work for a while, but eventually she will get tired of always giving in and not fulfilling what she wants to do, which might strain their relationship. And in that, it is generally ineffective. But it is a cooperative and appropriate when one person feels strongly about an issue, and also when 2 people cannot agree, but a decision must be made. Moving on. Indirect fighting. Indirect fighting is indirect and uncooperative. Examples included are failing to acknowledge or validate the partner's concerns, ignoring the partner, giving the partner cold or dirty looks, etc. And these express aggression and disagreement in an indirect manner which can shut down discussion about the conflict at hand. Imagine 2 siblings get into an argument. Olivia blames Alex for their dog running away. Alex tries to explain that it's not his fault the dog dug under the fence and that he misses the dog too. Olivia then ignores him and gives him the silent treatment. Eventually, Alex gets fed up and storms out. As will be discussed next, this could lead to avoiding the topic altogether, which may be especially destructive to the relationship. Avoiding. Avoiding is indirect and neutral in cooperation. People refrain from arguing and refuse to confront their partners. Tactics include changing or avoiding topics, acting as if they don't care, just joking to deal with the conflict, etc. So Olivia may later go up to Alex and apologize for ignoring him and not taking into consideration the way he was feeling. If he was hurt by her actions, he might try to cover up his feelings and act like he doesn't care. If this cycle continues, it will probably lead to a lose-lose situation, as they never get to a point where they can talk about things, where they cannot talk about the dog who ran away or about getting another pet. It is inappropriate and ineffective, but there are some times when it can be beneficial. And Roloff and Iffert discuss 5 conditions, and they are on page 279 in your textbooks. These conditions influence whether avoidance has a positive or negative effect on relationships. The last 2, compromising and collaborating. Compromising is direct and moderately cooperative. Partners search for a middle ground by giving up something to reach a solution, and that they each get some of their needs satisfied. This is typically a part-win, part-lose situation. Behaviors include appealing to fairness, suggesting a trade-off, etc. Imagine a couple wants to have a date night. Jim and April agree on taking the kids to April's parents' house, but each of them have different views for what to do. April wants to stay home and watch her favorite baseball team play, whereas Jim wants to go out for a candlelit dinner. They might come to an agreement to go to the minor league ballpark in town and eat ballpark food. This way, they sacrifice part of what they want to do, but still get part of the experience as well. Collaborating. No, save the best for last. Collaborating is direct and cooperative. It is typically leads to a win-win solution through cooperative problem solving. Tactics include expressing agreement, being supportive, accepting responsibility, brainstorming ideas together, and so on. So how could April and Jim use the collaborating style? Well, first they could start by planning date night in advance. Instead of eating out late, they might agree to go eat early enough to get back in time to watch the game. That way, they would be getting to spend time together and doing what they want. This is, and it is important to note that this is the most effective and appropriate strategy in managing conflict. It is related to perceptions and competence and relational satisfaction, as it allows each person to gain understanding of another and thus be able to work together more effectively. So in conclusion, what conflict styles do you use? What conflict styles have been effective and not effective? What can you do to change them? Because after all, we can only control how we engage in conflict. We can't control how others